we got two big games going on in the SEC this weekend. Kentucky is hosting Georgia, and LSU is hosting Alabama. This is something I think that is really interesting. This is something that is not getting a lot of attention, that I think if you're a fan of sports media or business, you should be paying a lot of attention to. The SEC's relationship with CBS is broken. CBS, these data points are unbelievable to me. CBS pays just $55 million a year to carry all the CBS games plus the SEC title game. ESPN pays twice that to carry one Monday Night Football game a year. CBS had the opportunity when Texas A&M and Missouri were added to the conference to make a decision to go out and commit long-term to the SEC at a substantial increase in value. To ESPN's credit, that's when the SEC network became a reality, and that's when they made the decision to invest long-term in the SEC, which is why the SEC and ESPN are in bed together until 2034, because they have made long-term commitments to each other from a business perspective. The SEC offered that same opportunity to CBS, and in what I think will be seen as one of the dumbest decisions in the history of sports media, despite the fact that they were making money hand over fist on the SEC game of the week, they chose not to do it. And as a result, the SEC's contract comes up in 2023. That'll be the last season of the SEC on CBS. And I have been told, under no uncertain terms, that the SEC has no intention of re-upping with the CBS. So what is going to happen with that rights package? It's an incredible value right now. ESPN, Fox, NBC, Turner, maybe Amazon, maybe Apple, maybe Google, maybe Facebook. Who knows exactly who is going to be on that television platform and how CBS, how the SEC is going to distribute their games. But if you like sports media and business, this is a story that is worth paying a lot of attention to. I think if you do the math and you look around at all of the different availabilities right now, the SEC's television package is the single best deal in all of sports. And the interest level in SEC fans in watching the game of the week is so massive that I think this package is worth around $250 million a year, depending on how many different bidders there are and how much money somebody wants to spend. Remember, the Rose Bowl by itself, along with the Sugar Bowl, sold for $80 million standing alone. If you had to choose, I'm curious in the comments for both Facebook and Periscope, if you had to choose right now and you were an executive, would you rather have the SEC title game or the Sugar Bowl? Which would you rather air on your television network, the SEC title game or the Sugar Bowl? I think that is an easy call. For me, and I bet just about every single person who is in the comments, the answer is the SEC title game because it's almost a default playoff game. Well, I want you to think about the math on this for a minute. The SEC title game, which is included in the SEC's overall television package with CBS, that entire CBS package, think about how crazy this is, sells for $25 million less than the Sugar Bowl does by itself. I want to repeat that because a lot of people are blown away by how much of a valuation the SEC is and how much of a steal CBS is getting right now. The Rose Bowl by itself and the Sugar Bowl by itself, each of those games is $80 million a year. You right now, with the CBS deal, they are buying the entire first-round draft pick every week, as well as the SEC title game, 15 games total, for $25 million less than what the Sugar Bowl or the Rose Bowl cost by themselves. And that's not the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl when they are hosting playoff games. That's the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl when they are not hosting playoff games. Right now, ESPN is paying for every one of the playoff games, roughly, there are 3 games, and they're paying over $600 million for them. ESPN is paying roughly $200 million a year per playoff game. 2 semifinals and the title game, $600 million total. Think about how wild that valuation is for 3 games. The SEC Game of the Week, $55 million. If I were a CBS executive, and you know who's watching? I bet some CBS executives are going to end up watching. I would this week, with both of those games going on, Georgia at Kentucky and Alabama at LSU, I would get on the phone with the SEC and I would try and extend my deal right now because they are close to getting left at the altar and they're going to be left with nothing because they have been so stubborn and so pig-headed that they haven't been willing to recognize that they got a tremendous deal, and that's why they need to be smart and try to make a Hail Mary attempt to keep the CBS SEC Game of the Week. Because otherwise there's going to be a lot of suitors. Fox is going to be at the altar, NBC, Turner, ESPN, maybe this DAZN that gave all the money to the boxer here recently. I think there are a lot of different moves. Yes, $55 million for everything. To put that into perspective, these 2 games that are airing on CBS on Saturday, which will probably be at least 8 hours of games, not counting the studio programming, 8 hours of football will cost $7 million for CBS. They are going to have the best return of investment on Saturday of the year in all of sports. They will pay $7 million on Saturday and get 2 top 10 telecasts that will air from 3:30 till 11:30 at night. 8 hours of programming, not counting the studio show programming attached to it. It's unbelievable. Now, some people said, how did that happen? It's a good question. Back in the day, first of all, the rights fees had not exploded yet. Secondly, Mike Slive wanted to get on CBS because he saw it as primarily a branding opportunity. He wanted every SEC Game of the Week to be on CBS, which at the time and for a lot of that period has been the nation's most watched sports network, and he wanted it to be an advertisement. So I think there are a lot of different potential directions that this SEC on CBS package can go, but I think it is undoubtedly one of the most valuable packages out there, and it will go a long way towards determining how the different balance of power will go between Fox, CBS, NBC, ESPN, and everybody else. All right. And by the way, I think it's possible the SEC could go with an over-the-air streaming partner by the time we get to 2023. I think there are a lot of you out there right now that would pay $100 a year to get the SEC Game of the Week and have 0 commercials during it. I know I get frustrated to the high heavens with how many commercials CBS packs into the SEC Game of the Week. Imagine how much more fun it would be to watch an SEC Game of the Week if it was like Netflix and there were no commercials at all.